All right, so I have the absolute pleasure of leading a discussion with the Sharp Capital Advisor team, specifically their head honcho, Steve Miles. As we bring him over, Steven, can you hear me? It looks like we just need to get your camera and microphone on there, sir, but I'm excited for this. This is a topic that I have needed education on myself for quite a while. There he is. I see him. How
Hi,
you
Elliot.
doing?
How you doing?
I'm well. I'm well. It has been a busy, compact 2 days,
Yeah.
but we are still pushing through, my friend. And honestly, this discussion that we're about to have for me is very important. It's something that I feel like a lot of people maybe undervalue this discussion, and it's really the importance of what you do specifically. So first and foremost, before we dive into what you do, tell us who you are, and then you can dive into what you do.
Perfect. Well, thank you very much, Elliot. And by the way, I'm very used to being undervalued, so no surprise there.
Oh, not you specifically, man.
I'm just kidding around. No, but thank you very much for having me. So I'm Steve Miles. I'm the founder and CEO of Sharp Capital. And by way of background, I've been working with privately held companies in private capital market transactions for my entire career, which is unfortunately now 25 years. After working for several other mid-market investment banks, I launched my own, co-founded a firm called Livingstone in 2007, so about 15 years ago. And Livingstone focuses on providing mid-market M&A advisory and capital raising services, again, entirely to privately held companies in private capital market transactions in the sub $1 billion size range. And started studying cannabis about 2.5 years ago. We were working on a transaction with a craft brewer who, for a while, was entertaining an offer from a soon to be publicly traded cannabis company. And it got us looking at the space and quickly realized that, it's obviously a massive industry and a growing industry. And it has built-in fragmentation because of the state by state regulatory framework. And so, just was going to be a great place for Livingstone to provide its services. We're a privately held partnership, so most of our competitors in our normal business won't play in this space until there's some federal legalization, and it leaves us, the industry, really needing the types of professional investment banking services we offer. So we launched a sidecar firm called Sharp. We focus there exclusively on the cannabis sector. All the transactional work actually gets banked by Livingstone professionals, where we have 85 bankers. But Sharp is meant to be a thought leader in the space, trying to produce valuable content for privately owned businesses out there. You can see on our website, we have an interactive map where we try to dig into each of the states and what's happening in the states and who the players are and what the regulatory framework is and what you should be thinking about if you're an operator in one of those states. And that's what we're doing. Right now, we're focused almost exclusively on licensed operators, of which there are, literally hundreds of privately held, valuable licensed operators.
Absolutely. So you say sidecar business, and that kind of leads me actually into my next question. There's actually a local beer in New York City called Sumo in a Sidecar. It is delicious, FYI. But secondly, cannabis is that giant industry, that sumo in this sidecar business for you. So, with that being said, I'm curious, why cannabis? Was it that one deal that you did that you saw a bunch of success in and you said, hey, there's potential here? Or is there a potential passion for the industry in your background? I'm curious, what made you choose to take a little more interest in cannabis than your competitors?
I mean, it's really a combination of a lot of factors. I am a lifelong consumer of the product and an advocate of the product. And I do believe in the medicinal benefits, and I do have a passion for, helping people that are less fortunate than us. And as I started to learn how negative the war on drugs has been on these communities, that also, pulls at my heartstrings. But the reality of the matter is, it's just a very good place to apply our trade. There's not a lot of professional advisors in the space. as all of your other panelists have been talking about, the amount of M&A activity is, I mean, wildly robust and will continue to be robust. And there will be waves of consolidation as nascent markets mature, as people reposition their assets. So there's always going to be a lot of activity. And what we see right now is most sellers are selling their businesses without any representation of the type that we provide. And, you know, I think that we did a webinar on this. I think that they're selling themselves short. I mean, when we represent a company in a sale, we run a process around it that is meant to create the equivalent of a public market. It's meant to be very efficient to make sure that you're getting the best possible price and the best possible terms and meeting all of your other objectives in that process. And we just don't see a lot of that. So there's a real, I think, you know, so when you do something like this for 25 years, you can oftentimes become cynical. I don't know, in our regular business at Livingstone, where we do 50 or 60 transactions a year, and half of those are for private equity sellers, you know, that our advice is always that valued, you know, but here I think our advice is actually quite valuable. And, you know, I don't think at the end of the day, people will actually ever pay for our services, because I think the amount of value we can create by providing our services far offsets any fees we could ever charge.
So I actually, this is a kind of a twofold question here, and it's a little bit of a going back to the question I just asked, but there's also been a ton of interest today on ESG in our chat, specifically around corporate governance, diversity and board, environmental protection, and moving towards sustainability. Do you see a lot of focus on that with the executives you work with, especially in M&A? Is there more focus on that? And, you know, you having the Livingstone Foundation, it seems like you do have a culture that's focused on giving back. So I'm curious if you all are encouraging that.
Well, for sure. I mean, it's very important to us. And Livingstone's a very international organization, and we have about 85 of our we have about 55 of our 85 bankers are actually in Europe and in China. Oh, wow. So the Livingstone Foundation works with in a small town in Zambia in Africa. We built a school down there that's called the Livingstone School. We continue to support that school. We put water systems in place, and it's just been a wonderful thing for us to be able to do. And in the States, you know, we're doing something very similar. I'm very involved and have been for years in an organization here on the west side of Chicago that works doing gang intervention with at-risk youth, which is very hard work and yeoman's work. And so that would indeed be considered a place that was negatively impacted severely by the war on drugs. And so we donate 10% of our profits to that organization to build. We're all involved in the organization. I sit on the board. We try to volunteer our time and as well. And yeah, it's an important part of our DNA. You know, to be honest with you, you know, I've not yet seen the social equity component to this industry really pan out. Maybe I'm not in the right areas or close enough to places.
No, it's interesting observation. It is.
Yeah, there needs to be a lot more done on that front. I think it needs to be done better.
Yeah, well, I think a lot in our chat would agree with you. So I appreciate your forthrightness there. So let's skip ahead here. You were talking about, you know, where you're going to play in the space and the fact that there really aren't that many competitors at the moment. So in terms of how you're doing it, I looked at your website. So Sharp Capital, where your namesake here, a Sharp in horse betting parlance, this is from your website, is a seasoned handicapper that utilizes data and analytics. So we have put a lot of emphasis on data in the conversation, not over just the past 2 days, but the past several months. It seems a lot more people are emphasizing it. So how are you emphasizing it and when you work with clients?
Yeah, I mean, that's a great question. And that is a part of our namesake. And I think when I first started to look at the industry in late 2018 and went out to the Vegas show, I mean, it was a free-for-all, right? I mean, everybody was having the time of their lives. Everybody was flush with cash. The public market valuations were through the roof. And, you know, it seemed to me that there were a lot of people who were looking for a get-rich-quick scheme. And, you know, that's not what we're all about. We believe in this industry. We believe in it for the long term. We want to build our business and our brand to be in this industry for the next 100 years. And we hope to align ourselves and work for operators who share that vision. And, so over the last 2.5 years, I've seen an enormous change in the caliber of management teams. And you look at the public MSOs, and they've got religion. I mean, they're very much focused on generating positive cash flow and earnings, and they understand about building sustainable business models. And at the same time, the investor universe is evolving and changing, and that's happening every day, which is great. And when SAFE Banking Act passes and some of this other federal legislation, it's going to continue to be a sea change of a different type of investor into the space. And that investor is used to seeing transactions presented in a certain way. They're used to very intense financial models that are based on data and analytics and realism and experience. And so, when we send our materials around to investors that are historical cannabis investors, I think there's a lot of, oh my Lord, what is this? I can't believe somebody made this easy for me. It almost shocks their system, right? Because they're not used to seeing something that's kind of this well thought out and this well presented. And that's what we have to do, because it's too hard for me to go out and convince investors that they should be investing in this sector, because it's this incredible sector and this growth sector, and the horses are out of the barn, and it's going to be federally legal, and then also sell them on an opportunity that isn't very well thought out. Mm-hmm. And so, we're looking to work with proven operators that have real cash flows, existing cash flows. They're either looking to sell because there's consolidation in their market, or they're raising money for expansion. But in any event, their models are, there's no pie in the sky. This is based on experience. It's based on facts and figures, number of lights, square footage, market size, wholesale pricing, not just kind of, hey, we got a license in a cool state and now we should worth $50 million.
Right. Steve, I could listen to you talk about this all day, my friend, but we do have to wrap up here. So I'm going to make my producer mad, though. I'm going to give you one more minute here. Please give a piece of advice to the investors in this audience, and to the operators, to those looking to put more money into the space this year, or if they should. What do you tell those people?
Well, I would focus on proven operators in limited license states. I think there's a lot of opportunity there. And I think the other interesting thing is I think there's so much attention and so much capital flow, obviously to the MSOs, but to the states, Illinois, New Jersey, Pennsylvania, the states everybody loves. But there are other places like Missouri and Utah and maybe Arkansas, places where proven operators from other states are going down there and standing up new businesses. And so I think there's some opportunities that are maybe being overlooked.
Awesome. Steve, a lot of knowledge you have, my friend, and I can't wait to dive into it more. This is Sharp Capital Advisors. Is there a place where they can reach you?
Yeah, www.sharpca.com.
Perfect. Thank you again for being with us. This is Stephen Miles. He is the founding managing partner of Livingstone Partners and Sharp Capital Advisors. Apologize for missing your title there, but you are the head honcho is the ultimate goal there. So my friend, thank you again for being with us.
Thanks, Elliot. Have a good day.
You too. All right. So I am being very genuine when I say I was excited to learn about the importance of investment bankers in this industry, because they are a necessary part of the M&A process, and Stephen Miles is part of that. So if you're an operator, I think you probably should be in touch with him.